How's it going, guys? Colin here from Trail Thrills Off-Road, and in today's video we are going to be installing new drive shafts onto our JK. So we currently still do have the stock drive shafts on here, and that's a problem for us because we have done a lot of modifications to this rig, and those stock drive shafts are not going to be able to handle the bigger tires, just the heavier upgrades that we've put on here for much longer, and they're probably going to end up giving out sometime soon. And before that happens, we are deciding to upgrade so we don't have to deal with that on the trail. And the drive shafts that we will be upgrading to are the Adams 1310 series extreme duty drive shafts. Now, if you're not familiar with Adams Driveshafts, they make really high quality drive shafts, best on the market. And the reason why Adams is also so popular is because of their lifetime warranty. If you happen to break or bend any of these drive shafts, they're going to replace it for you for free. And that's just another reason why we decided to go with their products specifically. Again, these are the 1310 series drive shafts. They also make a 1350 series drive shaft, which is a little bit bigger than these, but these can handle up to 37-inch tires without any problems, and that's what we have on our Jeep, so these aren't going to give us any issues. You can buy them with greasable or solid U-joints. We decided to go with the solid U-joints for our application. And yeah, these do come with all the hardware that you're going to need to install them right here in these two boxes. So we're going to take these drive shafts out of the boxes, take a closer look at them, let you know what we think of the welds, and just the overall finish on them. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and install them onto our Jeep. So this is the front drive shaft right here. Really nice drive shaft, guys. The quality here, you can definitely tell, is really nice. All the welds look really good to us. And yeah, we're really excited to get this onto the JK. And then they also include the yoke, some hardware right here, and then a sticker, an Adams Driveshaft sticker. And one thing that's cool about Adams Driveshafts is you can send them like custom measurements of your suspension and everything, and they will custom make these drive shafts for you depending on how long you need the drive shaft to be. So you just take a couple measurements, let them know, and they'll custom make it for you. And that's what we did for these drive shafts. And then right here we have the rear drive shaft. Same thing as the front drive shaft, just a little longer. The welds look just as nice as the front drive shaft, and yeah, looks good, and we're really excited to go ahead and get this one on the Jeep as well. And these things are going to last forever for us on the trail. We're probably never going to need another drive shaft, and that's what we're looking for when we went with Adams. We really wanted a drive shaft that we weren't going to have to replace after a couple of years. We're not going to have to do that with these ones. These drive shafts should be perfectly fine for years and years to come, and we're excited to get them on the JK, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go ahead, head over to the Jeep right over there, and we're going to show you guys how to install these drive shafts. Alright guys, so we're going to start with the front drive shafts. So the first thing that you have to do is jack the vehicle up. And as you can see, we have the jack stands under there right there. We've got it all jacked up and ready to go. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the front of the front drive shaft. So there's 4 15mm bolts up front that you're going to want to remove. They're pretty easy to see. They're pretty easy to get at as well. And it should be pretty easy to take those out. And then you're going to reuse those bolts, so don't get rid of them. And then once you get those front bolts removed, to finish removing the front drive shaft, there is 8 5/16 bolts to take it off of the transfer case, and then the front drive shaft should just come off no problem. So we got the factory drive shaft removed pretty easily, and now it's time to remove the factory yoke because Adams does include a new yoke for their drive shaft. And to remove this factory yoke right in here, you're going to want to remove the 1¼ inch nut that's in there, and then you're going to need a hammer and you just want to pop it out. So we have the factory yoke right here, and then you're going to want to take this O-ring that was in there out of the factory one, and then just pop it into the new Adams yoke, just like that. And then Adams does include new hardware to reinstall this yoke. There's only 4 bolts this time instead of the 8 bolts that are in the factory yoke. And then before we go ahead and put this new drive shaft on, we just want to show you guys a quick comparison between the two, the stock one and the new one, if you were interested in that. And before you install the new yoke, make sure you put some red Loctite and then also some RTV sealant in the factory nut that you're going to have to reinstall to get the new yoke in. So once you have the new yoke installed, it's time to put the new Adams drive shaft in place. And it's the same exact process that you took to take the old one off. It's super easy to do. Just 4 bolts in the front and then 4 bolts that attach to the yoke. Alright guys, so we are 100% done installing the front drive shaft. We made sure to Loctite all the bolts that we were installing. And guys, this drive shaft is going to be here for a long time. It's not going anywhere, and it's a really nice addition to our Jeep. So now it is time to move on to the rear, and the rear is going to be very similar to the front. So to start the rear drive shaft, there is 8 5/16 inch bolts that you're going to want to remove back here, and then you could just slide the back off and then let it hang right there. Now that we have the rear drive shaft removed, we also need to take the 1¼ bolt out of the old yoke. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Removing the yoke to the transfer case is a pain, but once you get it off, you have to remove the yoke on the axle as well. And that's a different size bolt. That is an 1 5/16 bolt, and we're gonna go ahead and remove the one attached to the axle now. Alright guys, so we got both the yokes removed from the old drive shaft. This one was the one that attached to the transfer case, and this one was the one that attached to the pinion. So you're gonna wanna take the O-ring out of the one that attached to the transfer case, just like we did in front. Then you're gonna wanna put it into the new yoke that attaches to the transfer case. And they do include 2 yokes, so you're gonna want the longer one. The longer one is the one that goes onto the transfer case, and then you're just gonna slide it in, just like we did to the other one, just like that. And then Adams also does include all the hardware that you're gonna need for this rear drive shaft. These 4 bolts right here attach to the transfer case, and then these U-shaped bolts go in the back to the pinion unit. So we're going to start by installing the yoke that attaches to the transfer case first. We're going to do the same thing that we did up front. We're going to put some Loctite and then some RTV sealant onto the nut, and then we're just going to install the nut to 160 foot-pounds of torque. Now that we have the yoke installed, we are going to start by bolting up this side of the drive shaft, and that's going to be super easy. Just 4 bolts that they do include with the drive shaft kit. Alright guys, so we got both the front and rear drive shafts installed, and we can absolutely not wait to get this thing out on the trail and see how these things hold up, see how they perform, and we're really excited to test them out. As far as the install went, it was pretty easy. There were only a couple of things that we had a problem with. We had a couple of problems taking some of the old yokes off, but that's to be expected since this Jeep is 11 years old. It just took a couple hits with the rubber mallet and we were able to get them off. And that was the extent of our problems. The install overall was pretty easy, and I think about anyone could do it in their garage. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. We hope that you guys enjoyed the initial review and the install of our new Adams 1310 drive shafts that we have on our JK. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more content like this on our channel. And we'll see you on the next one.